嗨，大家晚安！又来到陈爸的直播时间了。今天非常非常高兴，我们今天的直播的来宾呢是来自于新加坡的3位非常有趣的自学生跟家长。那然后如果你从来没听过新加坡有自学的话，那你跟我一样，因为我在那之前我一直以为说新加坡实际上是非常严的一个国家，大家都知道说新加坡的家长跟小孩对于教育非常重视，然后你如果有看过一个电影叫做《小孩不笨》的话，你就知道他们其实就是一个非常可怕，他们对于教育的那种追求疯狂的程度不会比台湾来的少，而且他们也是PISA的一个常胜军，像他们去年应该是第2名吧，就是仅次于中国的几个大城市。所以呢，我们今天非常高兴请到了新加坡的3位伙伴们来跟我们分享他们在新加坡的一个经验。然后因为新加坡是一个多语国家，所以今天的 interview 也会用英文跟中文交叉在一起，所以说有时候你会听到英文，有时候听到中文。那如果我尽量就是会有机会让他们讲中文，不过他们跟我讲他们比较喜欢讲英文，所以大家就稍微忍耐一点这样子，然后尽量跟上来哦，不要放弃哦。那在节目开始之前呢，我要谢谢我的 sponsor。那陈爸的节目已经做到现在已经快要1年了，已经超过半年多了。那最近 sponsor 比较慢一点，不过没有关系。如果你喜欢的节目的话，还是麻烦你分享，然后按赞，然后开小铃铛去追踪。下礼拜开始我们会有一系列的，每天晚上都有直播，因为是GHC Global Home Education Conference。然后我今天的来宾也会在我的下礼拜节目跟大家再一次见面，然后待会节目结束以前会再提醒一遍。OK， 好，那我们就欢迎他们进来吧。等我一下哦，我帮你打开他们的麦克风。然后耶，嗨 ，Hello， 嗨嗨
嗨，
嗨，
你好。
你好，谢谢。Try to bring everybody on board, and this is very lovely. We have picked your 4 people here, and we just want to introduce each one of you individually. So start with the young. Oh, let me start it with this. Let's start with the young. Let me start with Rebecca. I think Rebecca is the youngest. So let's start with her. Hello.
Okay. Hello.
丽轩嘛，对不对？
对，
丽轩。Yeah, Rebecca 丽轩. So tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we just go around introducing others as well.
OK. 大家好，我的名字是丽轩，我英文名字是 Rebecca。我今年17岁，从小都是在家里学习。对。
OK.
So, thank you.
OK, thank you. 然后下一个就是sorry, I'm trying to move. OK, Magdalene. 这是我都忘了这是什么事啊？这个什么
结会
结会，对不起，结会，对，好，结会 ，tell us a little bit about yourself. Yeah.
我是结会，我也是17岁，从小都是在家学习，我今年刚刚毕业，高学。
OK， 好，谢谢结会，然后最后我们let's introduce 美玲Connie， 跟我们打个招呼吧。
好，大家好，我是美玲，我是一位家长，今年很多岁数了，我有4个孩子
，OK， 好，谢谢美玲。OK， 我们没有你反正20岁以前，大家自我介绍都会讲自己几岁这样，然后过了20岁以后 我就说我叫什么名字呀 ？OK， Thank you so much， 非常谢谢你们今天晚上来跟我们台湾还有全世界的自学家长们分享新加坡的故事。然后在这边我要提醒我们在现场看直播的伙伴们，你可以有任何问题的话，非常欢迎你直接在留言的地方，不管你现在是用 YouTube 或者是用 Facebook 看的话，你都可以留言问我们，那我们会在这边回答你 ，OK？ 所以不要客气，尽量来问。So I want to start first with the student who is still in studying. So there's both of you, Rebecca and Magdalene, have been studying at home since you were a little kid. Like you never go to school. Can you explain to us how does it work? Maybe starting with Rebecca. How does it go about that you never go to school in Singapore?
So when I was a kid, we would go for different outings, like to the science center or to a park to learn about something, or just spend time with other children my age to learn and explore. I had art classes, I had music classes, and then we would learn about different things with other homeschoolers, or even just with my siblings, because I have one older brother and one little sister. Yeah, so that's how homeschooling was like as a small kid for me.
In the picture, I forgot you guys couldn't see me. Are both your brother and sisters homeschool as well?
Yeah, 对的。我哥哥毕业了，我妹妹还没有。
OK， 你哥毕业了，你妹还没有。OK， 好，所以说你们从小就在家教育。那当初是就是说一开始选择的最主要的原因有哪些呢？就是如果你还记得的话，你应该很小，才5、6岁而已。你记得为什么当初会就因为你哥哥先嘛，所以你哥哥有了经验再换，所以为什么他开始？
我妈妈告诉我的原因就是因为我的妹妹她有唐氏综合症 Down syndrome.
Yeah.
So she thought that having a community, which is like first the family, right, is the most important. So she thought that bringing her up with my brother and myself would be the best for her development. So just being there, playing together as siblings, that was something that she really wanted to do. Having time for family and to instill good values at a young age. And also to just be able to help us explore our gifts and what we're good at, and to help us excel at that.
Right.
And not have the pressure of school and stuff like that.
Yeah. That's a very, very moving reason for homeschooling, for the family and to bring together. And I know one homeschool girl who is not a girl anymore; she's a woman now. Her younger sister had a similar condition as your sister, and then and they actually travel around the world. And the reason they homeschool is they want their sister to see the world, and the way to do it is to move together as a family. And she, after being many places, she, including Taiwan, she decided to come to Taiwan to study at the university. So I helped her to apply into a university in Taiwan because as a homeschool graduate who doesn't have any qualifications from any particular countries, it was a bit challenging to do that. But I'm very happy to hear about your story. And let's move on to Magdalene. How about you? What's your story? What's your homeschool story?
So I have an older brother. He's 20. He also graduated from high school. So I have an older brother, 3 younger sisters, and a younger brother. So we're all homeschooled. And I think it definitely started off as my parents' choice when I was about 3 years old. But they wanted us to be able to learn at our own pace, and similar to Rebecca, also able to explore our own interests instead of having a fixed set of subjects that they do in public school. And I think especially when you're younger, when you're homeschooled, you have a lot more time with parents and family, which I think I really appreciated, because we are studying at home most of the time, even though we do go out as well. So yeah, I think spending time with the family was quite a big part.
Right. And so you are the only girl in the family? I heard older brother, younger brother.
Oh no, I have 3 younger sisters.
The 2 younger
So
sisters.
6 of us.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So the 4 of you, right? So 1 older brother and you, and then 2 younger sisters.
Oh no, 3 younger sisters and a younger brother, so 6 of us.
Oh, there's 6 of us. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I lost count after 4. It's like very, very nice. They are 多子多生多福寿这样子. I'm sure your parents are very blessed with so many kids. And are all of you homeschooled? Your brother?
Yeah, we're all homeschooled.
Of homeschool. So what's the age difference? Because 我就有点好奇，就是你们年龄差很大吗？还是都很靠近？ Yeah.
We're all about 2 years apart. So my oldest brother is 20, I'm 17, and then 15, 13, 11, and 7. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So basically you are going through different phase of education. Well, I mean, you and your brother are closer because they are, I mean, it's 3 years different. But then from the first one to the youngest one, the oldest to the youngest, it's a 10 to 11 years difference. Oh, no, more than that. It's
13.
Yeah, 30 years difference. So did you notice any difference between how homeschool is done 13 years ago and now? Like the 7 years you started homeschooling, right? Yeah.
I think homeschooling is a lot more homeschoolers than there was when I was younger. There are a lot more communities that you can be a part of. So I think that's a very, very big difference that I see compared to when I was younger. I think there were communities, but there weren't as many that you could choose from and join. So I think that's quite a big difference. And I think when my mom started homeschooling, it was still quite a new thing. There weren't a lot of homeschoolers. I think Rebecca and my older brother, they are one of the older homeschoolers, so like pioneers. Yeah, so I think now there are definitely a lot more homeschoolers, and yeah, it's more well known, I would say, than it was 17 years ago. So
right. And I understand you just finished high school homeschooling this year, and so what are you now? You are homeschool graduates. What does that make you technically?
Yeah. I think homeschool graduate. Right now, I am studying for exams, doing some stuff, preparing for university. So it's probably like a transition period from high school to university. Yeah.
So you're taking a gap year by studying?
Kind of, yeah, studying for exams to going to uni.
Going to uni, yeah, okay, good. And okay, so let's move on to the homeschool leader, Mei-Ling. And so Mei-Ling, you have 4 kids, right? And they are all homeschooled. And tell us how did it start? And why did you choose homeschool? Why did you choose homeschool for them?
I guess it's also I read a bit, about Americans. They were homeschooling. So in my mind, I know what homeschooling roughly is, but it's usually just for the Americans. Okay, so I was a former teacher. Yeah, so I actually teach and I taught in schools before. Yeah, so when I had children, I will come home very tired. So I began to think, how come I spend so much energy teaching other children, but what about my own children? Yeah. So that started, started thinking. Yeah. And then I began to get to know a few families who were homeschooling. So I was very curious and I wanted to find out more. Yeah. So I was given not given, but I was asked to go and purchase, a set of curriculums. So I had a curriculum with me, but I dare not start. Yeah, because I don't know how to go about doing it. And at that time, I mean, my oldest is already 22 this year. Yeah, so I didn't know many who were homeschooling. Yeah, so I was very afraid to start. Yeah. So, but then I wasn't very happy, that I was so busy. I have no time with my family. Yeah, especially my children. So that's why I actually took leave. I spent time with my children, and then I didn't want to go back. Yeah. So when a good friend, she left her job, her high-paying job, to homeschool her children, I became very, very intrigued and went to find out more. And so that was history. I pulled out my children. My first two were in school. I pulled them out of school after I tried out with my third one, who's a boy. Yeah, he was in K1, kindergarten. Yeah, preschool. He was only about 6 years old. So I tried, I went to visit the homeschool when they had the homeschool community, when they had a science, what do you call that? Science show or something. Yeah, so I was very impressed, by how the children are so confident in presenting what they have. They were not afraid to just speak up, to adults or to anyone who come to their table, to their stall. So that left a very deep impression on me. Yeah.
Very interesting. So unlike the other two, your first two actually went to school. And what was their reaction when you tell them that starting from next semester, you are not going to school anymore? What did they say to you?
Okay. When I took the third one, their younger sibling out, right? So they would hear, what we had been doing in the day. And then my daughter, who's the second one, she would say, when are we going to be homeschooled? Yeah. Yeah. So they were looking forward. Yeah, they were looking forward.
You're looking forward. And but as a teacher, how does your colleague think about you? Your decision of betraying your profession, or you didn't betray your profession?
Because I took no pay leave, or what you call it, childcare leave, for more than 6 months. So I was not posted back to the same school. So I didn't meet my former colleague. Yeah. So they didn't know what happened to me.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. So when you take not even sabbatical, just unpaid childcare leave, you withdraw. I mean, you were withdrawn, not you didn't withdraw.
Yeah.
They kind of put you, because somebody else fill your seat permanently.
No, I mean, they sort of so-called reserve my seat,
Right.
I was not given back to the same school
same
because it's
school.
more than 6 months. So I was posted to a different school.
Right. So basically, it's a new colleague, new environment.
Yeah. So they don't know much, and I didn't really share with them. Yeah. And then I said bye-bye when I resigned.
Well, okay, I really want to pursue this a little bit further, because in Taiwan, teaching position is not just a career. It's actually it's like it's a 铁饭碗, it's an iron bowl. It's a protection. It's got very comfortable pension, and then almost lifetime payment. Is that the same in Singapore? I mean, what did you have to give up to do this?
In the past, the older teachers were given pension. Yeah. But then when it came to my time to apply, there wasn't such a thing anymore. So there's no pension, although the salary is a bit higher. Yeah. But then because I have the teaching cert, there were many teachers who left the profession, who actually go out and teach privately.
Okay. Right. Privately means in private school or just private like a 补习班 like in tutorial?
Yeah， 好像补习班啦，或者是自己教补习。
自己教补习的。OK. Right. Interesting. 所以现在新加坡的老师已经没有 lifetime pension 这种事情了。
没有了，没有这个bonus。
可是 But I mean, I know you said you didn't want to mention your age, but you don't look that. I mean, you don't look like 20 years old. So it means that the whole reform started very early in Singapore because we are only started doing some reform in Taiwan maybe in a couple 5-10 years. So and so we are not cutting the entire pension. We're simply just reducing gradually and making the push back the retirement age and cut back on the compensation. But the Singapore government clearly is very forward thinking and cutting people's pension very early. But it make it easier for you to choose, right? 所以你就很容易比较容易决定，就毅然决然就离开。
对，
自己做。Okay. So what's it like for you to teach 4 kids at home in daily life? I'm going to ask the 6 kids class later, but I want to hear the 4 kids class. How does it work?
Okay, for me, I think homeschooling is a misnomer because I don't really like to stay at home to teach my children. I will bring them out. I will bring them to science center, to botanic gardens, to the zoo. Yeah. So those are what we call field trips, and we will go with other families. So when I first started, we have a small co-op. Yeah, we call that the 共学小组，对不对？ we will meet like weekly, once a week. Yeah, 一个礼拜一次。So parents will take turn, to teach a certain subject and all that. Yeah, so we meet quite regularly. Yeah, so actually we go to people's houses and then we learn. Yeah, so it was rotating. Yeah, and then we will meet at outdoors, picnics and all that. So it was really fun.
Yeah, and so how about Rebecca? You have not Rebecca, sorry, Magdalene. 你们家有6个人，所以你们不用共学小组啊，你们自己就是一个共学小组。How does the homeschool like? I mean, to have 6 kids homeschooling at the same time.
Yeah, it's very, very fun. It's almost like our own small school. We definitely have our own schedules because we're all in different levels. But I think we also help to teach the younger ones. So for me, I also help my mom to teach the fifth one, how to read and things like that, reading stories. And I think I also learned a lot from that because it's one thing to learn and it's another thing to teach. So I think that was a very interesting experience. And like what Auntie Connie said, we learn outside of home a lot as well, even though it's homeschooling. I remember going to the zoo, going to the park, and all these things that we might not be able to do if we're in school, like being able to go out during the daytime, visit the zoo, science center, and we learn a lot from these experiences as well. Because it's important to study textbooks and all, but when you experience it in real life, like the zoo, it's pretty different. And I think that's what we enjoy a lot as kids.
Right, interesting. And but how about like 共学? Because you mentioned about science trip and field trip and that kind of thing. But do you go out as a group with other kids as well, like Connie was saying earlier?
Yeah, we definitely go out with a lot of homeschoolers, sometimes older, sometimes younger than us. It usually is done in groups because there's one person to kind of lead that whole field trip, and you usually learn as a group. So that's kind of how the co-ops are like. Yeah.
Right. And how big are those the field trip group or the co-ops?
I think it depends. Usually about 10, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a while ago.
But
Yeah.
6 from
When-
your family, so the other 4 just tag along.
Yeah.
So if you don't show up, then the whole group collapse because there's enough people.
No, I remember once, together with Mac's family also, we went to visit the RSAF,
Mhm.
the Air Force, and we took pictures. We were one big group. Yeah, I remember we were one big group. Yeah, so it depends. Yeah, so this one was like a special kind of co-op. Yeah.
And how about Rebecca? Does your family is also 4, and do you actually join other homeschool groups as well, or how does it sound?
So yeah, we have 3 in my family, including me.
Yeah.
So my older brother, me, and then my younger sister. So usually when we were younger, when things were more flexible, our day would be we drew a lot. So we had like we would paint, we would go outside to exercise, 大脚车, or even 做饺子. So my mom would teach us how to make food, like bake, cook from a young age. So we would help around the house. And then going out with other homeschoolers, like sometimes there would be fairs. So I remember there was once there was this fair, and I think there were also non-homeschoolers there also. So we just went, we set up a stall, and then we made bracelets or something. So we would sell,
Right.
and then I think it was like a fundraiser. So we got to meet other little kids at the stall. So some were homeschoolers, some were not. And then for like homeschooling events, sometimes they'll have curriculum fairs. So the parents will go and set up the booths, and then the little kids will like tag along, maybe help their parents, and then we would play. So there would be like 20 to 30 kids outside on the grass just playing tag, or sometimes if it was at a condominium, there would be a swimming pool, and then everyone would just go there and swim and have fun. So things like that, yeah, just meeting other people, and yeah, especially people with similar interests.
Are all of you belong to the same group of homeschooling families in Singapore? How many groups are out there?
I don't think there's a fixed group, because sometimes I'm in one group, Magdalene's in another group. Maybe we meet occasionally, to just hang out. So there may be those like formal co-op groups where they sit down,
Right.
they study together, and then there are those informal groups, like for example, if we like to play sports, then we'll just go out and then maybe 打篮球 a couple times a week, or maybe once in 2 weeks. So there are those formal and informal groups, and then there's some people that also don't hang out in those community groups. So it's really hard to tell how many homeschoolers there are.
Okay, right. I want to ask Connie some question about how to become a homeschooler in Singapore. Because I understand that there is no is there a formal process to become a homeschooler, to get out of the school and start homeschooling? What do you have to do that?
Okay. At that time, I had to withdraw my 2 children out from school. So I had to, of course, I asked a friend first how she did it. Yeah. So she actually asked me to go to the MOE website to ask for a form. And I was referred to the compulsory education unit. Yeah. To ask for a form. Yeah, then they will email to you the form, provided you are first a graduate. They will ask you first. Yeah, especially right now, they are pretty strict about it. Yeah. So when you are not a graduate, they will refuse to give you the form. Yeah. So the forms we are not allowed to just give to our fellow friends who's interested. They have to directly, apply or ask for it from the MOE itself. Yeah, the Ministry of Education.
But sorry to interrupt, but the forms are identical, right? So why can't you just give to your friend who...
I mean, we do share the form, as in, we can share a bit about how we apply. But in order to be able to get through, on the website, it already stated that you have to apply, and ask for the form. You're not supposed to give the form to anybody else. So I think as very obliging citizens, we don't do that. Yeah.
I understand. Yes. The Singaporean has a slightly different way of treating laws and regulation to people in Taiwan. And how about? Okay, here's interesting. Second thing I pick up what you said intrigued me was you have to be a college graduate to homeschool your kids.
Mm-hmm. Why? That's the first cut. Yeah. And you have to be either one, one parent had to be the main teacher and must be not be working full time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's a requirement.
Right.
Yeah.
So either one of you have to be a college graduate and either one of you have to have no job. So basically you're saying that in order to homeschool in Singapore, you have to graduate from college, you then can't get a job or don't want to get a job. Okay? Right.
Right.
And so continue. So after you fill out this form, and what are the questions they ask in the form? What do you need to tell the government to get your kid out of the public education?
It's like you're applying for a job kind of thing. So you have to provide all your resume, that kind of thing, and you have to provide a timetable, the curriculum, based on the 4 main subjects that you have. They have to learn the English, and then the second language, which is what we call the mother tongue, based on your race. Of course, the math and the science. These are the 4. Plus one more, which is what we term as national education, because there is a national education quiz that every child has to sit through when they are age 12, where they are supposed to sit for the national exam. We call it PSLE here, Primary School Leaving Examination. Yeah, so they have every child here. I mean, my son was the second batch, which they started the Compulsory Education Act. Yeah, he was the second batch to sit for the exam. Before that, those who were previously homeschooled, they need not sit for this national exam. Yeah.
Do you know what the reason they give to make the kids sit in those exams?
For one, I know that is because they want to ensure that every child, especially the citizens, right, they get the basic education. So it's up to primary 6. We call it primary 6 level. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the basic education. Yeah.
Okay. So now, so for both Rebecca and Magdalene, you both have sat in this exam that Connie was talking about, and so in order to prepare for that exam, that's at age 12. That means that from your age 6 to 12, the compulsory education period, you have to study the same as what people do in the school, or you can do something else differently. Maybe Magdalene can answer that first, and Rebecca.
Yeah, so for me, we usually just follow the American curriculum from 7 until about maybe 11, or depending on different families, start at different ages. So we'll take 1 to 2 years to study the Singapore curriculum, because even though it's American and Singapore, like math is still math, it's kind of the same. But for mother tongue, for Chinese, we do start learning and having tuition since I was P1. So for that, it's different, because for American curriculum, we don't have the Chinese language. Yeah, but for other subjects, usually sometimes we learn both the American curriculum and Singapore one at the same time. Some people stop the American curriculum during that year to prepare for the exam, but I think some of the stuff still overlap because these are the common subjects like math and science. So yeah, usually we take about 1 or 2 years to just prepare for it. Yeah.
Okay. And how about Rebecca? What was your experience like preparing for those exams?
So similarly, just like Magdalene, I started Chinese classes when I was 8, maybe. So 8 all the way until now, I've been having Chinese classes. And then we would buy some books from the bookshop, like English and math, to just do a little bit. But it wasn't like hardcore studying, but only for the 1 to 2 years before 12 years old. So starting at about 10 plus 11, we bought the papers for the exam, and then we would do the papers together. And then if I needed a little bit more help, then we got a tuition teacher for science and math, and then my mom taught me the English. Yeah, so more of the studying, the more hardcore studying for the exam was done when I was 11.
Okay, so basically you can pretty much do anything you want, even with the American curriculum or anything else, until about 1 year before the exam, and then you sat for the, and you basically cram for the exam, and then see what happens. Hypothetically, what if you fail the exam? I mean, is there a pass or fail in that exam, or is it simply you want to know, how does it work? Connie, maybe you can explain a little bit more detail. What?
Okay, for homeschoolers, they need to meet a minimum criteria, what we call the benchmark. Yeah. So it's what you base on the 33 percentile of, now I'm also get mixed up, the highest or the lowest. Anyway, there's a benchmark. So it's like the total is about 300 points. So on the average, the homeschoolers have to score about 190 to about 200, in order to clear the benchmark. Whereas when you are in a national school, I mean a public school, you don't have to make that score in order to move to secondary one, in a high school.
Okay, as a former teacher, based of your knowledge, what does 190 to 210 means in terms of percentile?
What does it mean? It means that each subject, on the average, you need to score like B, at least a B plus to A. Yeah.
So B plus to A, that will basically put you at least, I mean, the top 30% or 40%. I mean, it's not going to be like in the middle or bottom.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
No. So basically, the government is really looking at a homeschooler and saying, my gosh, you guys have to be good to homeschool. You cannot be academically challenged. We're going to,
so it's very stringent, very stringent. Yeah.
Very high bar. 要自学，你一定要比学校好这样。So if you do as good as a school, then you might as well don't do it. Basically, that's what the government is saying.
对，一个家长就要教4个科目，在学校他们的教室只是教1个科目而已。
所以这个是有点 crazy， 就是我知道这个其实台湾以前也曾经走过这个历程，就是非常有趣的。Maybe I can talk a little bit about it. But before I do that, I want to tell our audience, if they just tune in, they may think, what the heck, we are talking in English. What's happening with all looking people and we got Chinese sounding name? 基本上我今天的来宾呢是3位新加坡的自学家长跟同学还有毕业生，那他们在跟我分享在新加坡自学的经验。那新加坡是一个双语国家，他们的第一个语言是英文，然后再来是他们的母语，然后刚才跟我介绍说他们母语 是要根据你的种族来决定的，所以你不能跟万一，对不起，我可以问一下 Connie， 突然 sidetrack 一下，因为台湾现在在推行这个 policy。如果你今天是一个华人跟马来人结婚生下来的小孩，那请问你的母语要选哪一个？
通常就是跟着父亲。父亲，对，通常都是这样，除非你认为觉得我孩子应该学这个母语的话，那你就要必须的去申请啊。
哦，是哦，我的妈呀，不止姓要跟着父亲，连母语都要跟着父亲。那为什么叫母语？叫父语就好了。用肚子讲话，父语。那个 OK， 所以
因为在我们登记上也是跟着父亲的种族
是哦，
对。
所以如果像我是华人，我娶了一个印度人，然后
那你的孩子
就是华人，他就
华人，对，因为是姓名是跟着父亲。
可是如果他是一个 hyphenated 的名字，像你的名字是 hyphenated， 就是两个连在一起的话，那怎么办？可以这样做吗？像我姓陈，就是陈跟三姐，然后就混在一起的，那没有关系，那个太复杂了，我们先不管。那没有关系，不是因为我现在在处理台湾在推 national 就是 national language 的这个事情，然后大家也在讨论的很厉害，这样，所以 anyway， 那I'm not going to look at Singapore's example. It's community that just too patriotic, too doesn't respect women. 然后好，所以我们再回来谈 homeschooling。好，所以现在来了，就是我觉得很好奇，12岁，你刚刚讲说12岁就要去考试，然后如果你没考过的话，会发生
就要重考，就要重考。对，重考到15岁
啊，就一直准备那个12岁的东西，一直考。
对，就是这样。
然后呢？然后会发生什么事情？就是说，那这段时间你只能继续学12岁的东西，你不能学后面的东西了吗？还是他也？
他不管你要做什么，就是一定要回来重考就对了。
好，那之后呢？再下来会发生什么事情？从12岁那个考过，你就可以继续 homeschooling； 没考过，你就继续重考。那之后还有其他的 test 吗？还是
没有了？你通过这个12岁的考试之后，或者你已经及格了哈，过那个关了那个政府就不管你了。
哦，那等一下，让我想一下。所以像两位，像Magdalene，你现在已经高中毕业了，那他会给你一个什么东西证明你已经读完高中了吗？Government
没有，
就是，所以12岁以后，新加坡政府就不管你了。然后等一下，那你还需要跟他申请吗 ？Do you still have to apply？ 也不用。所以 compulsory education ended at 12.
Yes, that's a basic education. Yeah, and it's compulsory. Yeah, that's all.
所以 OK， 如果你不是 homeschooler， 然后你去上学，可是你12岁以后你就不上学了，也没有人会管你，你就可以去做任何事情，你要去做工也没有关系。可是应该有
做工就有一点麻烦，因为有些就要你最少要有 N level， 就是我们讲的普通水准。
所以政府12岁以后就不管你的 education。那
可是社会呢又要你有普通水准，
对，
所以你多多少少都要去继续的去教育自己啦。受教育。
OK， 好，所以12岁过了，政府不管，然后So both Rebecca and Magdalene, you guys were studying by yourself or by your parents doing homeschooling curriculum, etc. etc. 可是就是变没有 qualification， 是这个意思吗？就是没有 degree， 也没有 diploma。
有high school 就是 American High School Diploma， 就是跟美国
跟美国的高中申请。那 Rebecca 也是一样吗 ？Rebecca 那边也是你是拿什么样的diploma？
我现在没有 diploma 和没有 degree， 我做的就是有些人叫的是 unschooling。So I don't necessarily follow a set curriculum or a high school. So I'm doing different things. So I'm taking a few classes, doing a few projects. Yeah, and then I'll see where I end up.
所以像Magdalene 有美国的高中毕业证书，那你可以用这个美国的高中毕业证书来申请新加坡的学校吗？如果你要继续念大学的话。
大学就是这个高中毕业不够，你还要you need to sit for more exams， 才看你的。
就是对啊，像 A level 或者是什么之类的，HCSE 或者之类的东西。所以那 Becky 呢？你那边你不需要这些证书，如果你今天要继续读书的话，你就直接 Can you just sit in the exam without any high school diploma? Are you able to do that?
For me? So it depends on what I am thinking of doing. So if I am applying to a university and they say, okay, we take US exams, and we also take Singapore exams, then I can choose, okay, I want to apply now, I want to take the US exam, and I take it, and then maybe I can apply. But a lot of the Singapore universities, if you stick with the Singapore exams, there's a high chance that you can get in, higher chance.
But they don't need in order to sit in the exam, you don't need a high school diploma.
No, you don't need a high school diploma. You can just take the exam.
You can just sit in the exam. Okay. So the application, I actually found the application page. I want to share with our audience. It's kind of interesting. It's called exemptions from compulsory education. 是这个地方嘛，对不对？对。那 OK， 所以美玲这边我们这边看到就是说，这边右下角有一个叫 Jamie 的一个服务人员会来帮助，对不对？他就可以做他任何事情。那然后所以为什么这里有2个不同的年龄？一个是8岁以前跟8岁以后的，它有什么不同的规定呢？
没有什么不同有些是因为好像说，如果你是12月生的咯，是啊，12月你要就是要you want to delay, you want to defer,
right?
Because you think your child is too young to go with it, with the current year, so they want to bring later.
Okay.
Yeah, or some is because they are born in January 1st or 2nd, they want to go earlier, enter school earlier, 1 year ahead. Yeah.
好，然后我想要回来这个 website 这个申请这个事情，所以申请完了以后，除了12岁那个 exam 以外，中间政府会不会要求你做一些报告啊，或者是等等？
有。你申请过后呢，他们会找一个时间，说要做家庭访问，
对
，home visit，
yeah，
为的是要看你家庭的环境啊，你会在哪里教你的孩子啦，那你的书本啊，你讲的是不是全部都是写下来，是不是真的啊？
OK，
他要你证明啊，
对，好，所以他会来访问，那多久一次？每一年都会来吗？还是
就是还没有批准的时候他会来你家做一个家访，然后批准了呢，就是每年都要给一个报告
，OK，
年底就要 有一个报告，他没有说一定说你一定要考什么什么什么，没有的。我们就跟着好像在学校的小一、小二，
对，
他们也是没有考试，
对，
没有考试，所以我们也讲我们没有考试。
Okay.
Just give an evaluation of the progress of the child, you know, what the child does and all that. So every year there's an annual report.
Right.
Yeah, at the end of the year. Then at primary 4, 小四是有一个会考。
这个是最早考吗？为什么小四要考？
没有，他们在几年前
你们新加坡的是
5年前开始的吧？这是5年前啊？没有，6年前，因为我的最小的孩子，我的女儿，是第一批，
小学
对 Anna， 我的 Anna 是小4要去考试，所以我们每个都很生气。
对，10 years old, at the national exam.
Yeah, you gotta sit for all 4 subjects.
So that's English and the mother tongue,
math, and science.
Science, okay.
Yeah, and they only give you either a pass grade or a fail grade.
Okay, only pass or fail, right? Okay.
Yeah, and after the result, they'll do another home visit again to do some evaluation. Yeah,
okay.
And ask you or give you advice whether, you know, if your child didn't do well, advise you to send your child to school.
Yeah. Right. Now, so then after 5th and 6th grades, you'll sit at this PS exam.
LE.
LE, yeah, primary school leaving exam, and then after that you don't need to apply. 就之后你就不用再申请了，你也不用再管这个。
不用了，不用再管了。他会给你一个文凭啦，他会
小学毕业证书嘛，这有什么用？给你个文凭。然后之后他就不管你了，就对了。新加坡政府就不管你。OK，你要干嘛就随便你这样。好，
对，
那很有趣。所以在新加坡申请自学呢，是从小1到小6，然后而且要大学毕业，其中有家长，其中有一个大学毕业，
家长，
对，然后其中有一个要没有工作，然后才能申请，然后申请完了以后，在4年级的时候要去参加一个全国的会考，然后考英文、母语，然后还有数学
跟科学，
然后考得不好的话，政府还会派人来教训你，说你教的不好。
现在不止一个，我听说是2个会来做家访。
2个会来做家访，然后跟你讲说你教的不好，你要努力一点，这样，不然我就把你送回学校去。然后到了小学6年级，你还要去考一个那个 schooling 的 PSLE， 然后如果没考过的话，还要再一直重考，考到你过为止这样子。那你可以不去考吗？就是说你考了3遍，你觉得太难考了，我不要去了。
你是说重考是吗？
对 PSLE，
他们有预定讲你一定要重考，这是你已经在纸上已经签了名了，所以你不得不去。
因为你自己签名的嘛，你自己同意的嘛，就是你当时申请的时候就跟政府讲说 ，In order to apply for home education, I agree that my kid will pass. 这样 blah blah blah. Yeah. 除非你要告政府说我当初签是因为被迫签的，我不签我就不能申请自学。那我如果你当初就骗我要签啊，就是不公平的，就是一些 contract 这样，所以有点 get out of it. 没有关系，我可以了解。OK, very very interesting. 所以基本上到了中学也没有人管，高中也没有人管。那所以一切都是自由的，你想干嘛就干嘛这样。那
可是很多人不知道
很多人
不知道，以为一定要上中学。
天哪！ 所以说很多人小学 homeschool，然后到了中学又跑去上自学，上学就对了，因为他觉得没有办法。OK，very interesting。那新加坡有多少自学生 ？Out of curiosity， 就是目前大概有多少人？
我们没有一定的数字，
政府没有公布吗？
没有，它很神秘的。
是哦，真的好有趣哦。
我们只知道，就是小六会考那时，当我们聚合在一起的时候，我们就大概知道那个数字。
可是你们都在同一个地方考试吗？你怎么会知道说有多少人呢？
我们是去同一个地方考试的。对，只有一个地方。
是哦，全新加坡Homeschool都在那边考试。
对，所以那个小试的时候，要会考的时候，我们都觉得很惊讶的时候经过那个怎么讲啊？那个时候，我们就更多人聚在一起，认识更多人，所以也是蛮好的啦。
那有2次可以碰面，一次是4
对，
年级，一次是6年级这样。
对，就认识比较多的
对，哇，所以新加坡跟台湾非常不一样。你看新加坡有这么多的考试，然后自学管那么多，还管你怎么学，然后管你家长有没有工作，有没有学历什么。台湾完全不管，台湾基本上就是任何人想要来申请都可以来申请，然后你要上什么就依照你自己家长定出来的计划。那他也不一定会全部做 home visit， 因为申请人太多了。台湾现在有去年的话应该已经有超过4-5千人了，所以说也不太可能每个都 visit。那然后而且台湾基本上是到高中都有文凭，也就是说他一路从国小、国中、高中，那都没有考试，就是反正你家长申请通过了，我们就照你的计划，我们就尊重你。就是台湾就是一个反正台湾人民最大就对了，家长说什么就算了这样子啊。服务人民。
可是我知道台湾学生如果在家自学的话，也是可以去学校的，对吗？我们这边不可以耶。
对，哇哦！所以你们就完全跟学校脱离这样子。
对。
哇，非常非常有趣。好，那今天时间很快就到了，我们还有好多事情可以谈。不过我们前面花太多时间在了解那个新加坡这个非常有趣的一个制度。不过我们还有机会，因为下礼拜呢，我会2个时段，一个是礼拜4的早上9点钟，台北时间、新加坡时间是一样的。虽然说我们时间一样，可是我们的自学方法非常不一样。那我会邀请Connie， 然后还有就是印尼还有日本的自学的家长一起，我们来谈一谈，就是说亚洲的一个homeschooling 的一个比较差别在哪里。那这个是用英文进行的 ，OK。然后在礼拜6的早上一样9点钟，下礼拜614号，刚刚那个12号，下礼拜6 14号，14号早上9点钟，是Rebecca， 然后 Magdalene， 还有明哲明秀我的小孩，然后另外还有印尼的一个自学毕业生，我们会，然后还有唐凤，Audrey 唐是台湾的 Digital Minister， 然后也是一个自学生毕业生，不过他现在已经40岁了，所以他是很早以前 homeschooling 的一个自学生。那然后我们会一起谈说life after graduation， 然后还有那个 socialization 这2个 homeschooling 蛮大的一个问题。所以我们会有谈这些东西，然后非常谢谢然后大家来跟我们一起，希望大家能够一起加入我们。那今天非常谢谢我们的来宾，然后就是然后我的 sponsor 你们在下面，因为我得快一点，因为时间要到了，所以谢谢你们，谢谢大家，然后希望下礼拜能够加入我们的online GHCC conference。好，今天就到这边结束，谢谢，拜拜，
谢谢，
拜拜，谢谢，
拜拜。